What up? Week 2 of the NFL season. Just got 2 locks this week, trying to avoid making the same mistake I made last week by placing bets on teams without having enough information on them. For example, this is an enticing one right here. Cleveland Browns plus 10 against the New Orleans Saints. But was Cleveland the beneficiary of playing a dysfunctional Pittsburgh Steelers team? Last week, New Orleans historically have been bad defensively. Last year, they were one of the better teams in the NFL defensively. They gave up 48 points last week. Are they going to revert back to what they've been historically, or are they capable of playing at the level that they played at last year? Hard to say right now, which is why I'm not touching this game. Okay, lock number 1. Philadelphia Eagles on the road against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, -3. I think you're getting that at a bargain. Tampa Bay was a 10.5 point underdog last week. They won the game by 8 points. That's an 18.5 point swing, if my math is correct, which is why I think you're getting 3 points at a bargain. I think if this game is happening week 1, I think the spread is somewhere between -5 to -7 for Philly. So right off the bat, I think 3 points is a bargain. Right here, the score, 48 points. Tampa Bay dropped 48 points on New Orleans, who, like we said, not sure about how they are defensively. What we are sure about is the Philadelphia Eagles defense, who only gave up 12 points last week against the Atlanta Falcons. Same Atlanta Falcons who not last year, but the year before were ranked number 1 in the NFL in total offense. So Tampa Bay probably won't be as successful offensively against the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 2, they got 40 points scored on them. What are you most worried about with the Philadelphia Eagles is that they're not starting their starting quarterback, Carson Wentz. It's instead Nick Foles. Same Nick Foles they won the Super Bowl with. Same Nick Foles who won Super Bowl MVP. Same Nick Foles who in 2013 threw 27 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. The best touchdown to interception ratio by a quarterback over the course of an NFL season in NFL history. Same Nick Foles who just last week threw 19 for 34 for 117 yards and 1 interception. That's Nick Foles in a nutshell. He's wildly inconsistent, but capable of having big games, and I think going up against Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that's not very good, I think he will have a good game. I think their offense won't be as successful this week going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think 3 points is a bargain, which is why lock number 1, Philadelphia Eagles -3 on the road against Tampa Bay. Okay, lock number 2, Chicago Bears. Game isn't even today. Game is tomorrow night. Shows you how popular the Bears are. They're on primetime games in week 1 and week 2. Shows you how smart the schedule makers are by putting them in primetime games earlier in the season when there's optimism for their season. Chicago Bears probably won't be very good this year. Still remains to be seen, but not likely they will make the playoffs this season. They were this close last week to beating the Packers on the road. That tells you how good they are. This is a Green Bay Packer team who analyst and former quarterback Tony Romo picked to make the Super Bowl. They lost by just a point to this team on the road. So that shows you how good they are. Not only that, their defense is one of the best in the NFL. They had 4 sacks last week. Only one team in the entire NFL last week had more sacks than them. And they were going up against the 9th ranked, according to Pro Football Focus, the 9th ranked offensive line in the NFL. They had the 2nd most sacks last week. This week, they're going up against the 30th ranked offensive line, according to Pro Football Focus. So they're going to have an easier time getting to the quarterback. Their secondary, to me, is one of the best in the NFL. And they will talk more and more about this as the season goes on. You got Adrian Amos, you got Eddie Jackson, you got Kyle Fuller. I'm a big fan of Eddie Jackson, by the way. Prince of Mukamara, not to mention Khalil Mack and Hakeem Nicks pressuring the quarterback. This is a vicious defense, and they're going to have a field day against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, one more thing, actually, I wanted to mention before that. New head coach. I like this guy, new head coach for Chicago Bears. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's got with his quarterback. You can see here, his quarterback threw 35 passes last week. only 171 yards, no touchdowns, but also no interceptions. This tells you a lot of things. One, he threw the ball 35 times, and he didn't throw any interceptions. Didn't throw any touchdowns, but also didn't throw any interceptions. That's a plus. Throwing the ball 35 times is a lot, and the fact that he didn't turn over the ball once means that his coach knows what kind of plays to run for him. That is further evidenced by 171 yards. 35 passes for only 171 yards. That means he's not throwing the ball down the field much because his coach knows he's not very good at throwing the ball down the field. So he's not putting him in that position where he could turn the ball over. Smart. It's not the way to being the best offense in the NFL, but it's accepting the fact that you don't have the potential to be the best offense in the NFL. And in order to overachieve, you have to optimize your players' talents. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he has with his quarterback. And I think the Chicago Bears are in good hands with their new head coach. Don't even know his name. One more thing, and here's a confound. Seattle Seahawks last week went up against a very good defense, and they dropped 24 points. Denver Broncos, arguably better defense than the Chicago Bears. I don't think so, but right now, more people would be making the case that the Denver Broncos have a better defense than the Chicago Bears. Okay, and they scored 24 points. But they got 105 yards from Will Dissly. This is a 4th-round tight end. What do NFL defenses do in preparation for fourth round tight ends in week 1 of the NFL season? Nothing. Meaning the Chicago Bears are going to be better prepared for this kid who had more yards receiving by far than anyone else on the Seattle Seahawks. That's why I think the Chicago Bears will have more success than the Denver Broncos did on the defensive side of the ball. They have a coach who's not going to put their second-year quarterback in positions to make mistakes, so they're not going to beat themselves. They're at home, which is why lock number 2, Chicago Bears, -3.5 tomorrow night against the Seattle Seahawks at home. Hope that helped you guys. Good luck if you're placing any bets today, and enjoy the games.